since our last therapy session. You look like you're feeling a little better.
Well, actually, my anxiety seems to be getting worse. I've been having panic attacks and I'm having a hard time sleeping.
Well, before we prescribe any medication, I'd like to try some more aggressive therapy. But what are the things that are running through your mind that are causing the anxiety? Is there anything specific?
Well, it's not really anything that I'm thinking about. It's things that happen, things that trigger me to be nervous and, well, to make me worry that maybe something bad is going to happen.
You said that there are things that trigger you to be nervous. I'd like to know what those are. But is there anything that you feel guilty about? Is there something that makes you feel you deserve something bad to happen to you? I'd like to know that first.
No, I haven't done anything. But there are people who believe I have. And I don't think that I should have anything bad happen to me. But the things they say, I think they want to do something. I think they maybe even want to...
Hold on, are you being threatened? Are you saying that your anxiety is coming from some type of threat of violence? Who are they? What are you talking about?
I don't know who they are. I just call them them. They're everywhere. They're strangers. They're people that live in my apartment. The guy on the other apartment, I can hear him talking through the wall. And it sounds like he's putting bullets in a gun. And he's talking about killing someone. I think he's talking about me. And he knows things. And when I walk into my bedroom, he goes in there and starts talking. And when I go into the bathroom, he goes in there and starts banging on the wall. It's like he can see me. It's like these people know who I am, but someone has told them something about me. And they just look at each other in disgust and look at me. On the subway, they were talking, and they...
Wait a minute. Are you saying the person that lives next to you in your apartment has threatened to kill you? Why haven't you called the police?
Well, he hasn't come out and threatened me, but he talks about things that no one should know but me. And I can hear him cocking a gun and putting bullets in it.
Hold on a minute. You said that he knows things that only you should know. What are you talking about? Give me an example.
Well, it's not just him, it's other people too. When I went to the store the other day at the checkout, I was paying for some salad dressing that was on sale. It was a vinaigrette that I'd never tried before. But the girl was acting weird, and she started laughing, and then she looked at me and said, "I hope you survive, but I know you're never going to make it through this." And I said, "What, the salad dressing?" And she said, "Oh, you just don't get it, do you? Well, everybody has their own taste, to each their own." And she started laughing hysterically. And when I got home, the guy in the other apartment started yelling stuff. And I could hear him clicking the gun and putting bullets in it, saying, "I guarantee you're not going to make it through this. And I don't care what kind of taste you have. You're a freak, and I'm going to kill you." And I know he was talking about me. And he was talking about the conversation that I had with that girl. And how did he know?
Yeah, just calm down. You're starting to look very flush. It looks like your heart's beating very quickly. Now just try to relax. Let's talk about this a little bit later, and let's do a relaxation technique and see if it works. I think this would be a good time to try it because it looks like you're getting very worried. Now, is there anything in particular that relaxes you so that we can use that in the exercise?
Well, I used to have a 50-gallon fish tank. I would sit in front of it for hours. It was very relaxing.
Yeah, that's perfect. Let's get you down here. Let's have you lay back on the couch. There you go. Now I just want you to think about that fish tank. I want you to imagine yourself looking at all the little fish and looking at the bubbles rising up in the water from the aerator, slowly rising to the top. And I want you to think of those bubbles. And I want you to focus in on those bubbles. And I want you to see those bubbles as thoughts. And then I want you to imagine that those bubbles are thoughts bubbling up in your mind, all the way up to your consciousness.
I think it's working. I'm starting to feel calm.
Yes, just keep thinking about those bubbles. Now, I want you to focus in on one of those bubbles, bubbling up inside your mind. And it's going to come to the surface. And it's going to break forward. And I want you to tell me what's inside that bubble.
Here's your lunch, Doctor. Oh, I'm sorry.
And I asked you to bring me lunch. I'll forgive it this time. Make sure to check the appointment roster next time.
They didn't have any salad kits at the store with dressing, so I just got you some vinaigrette that was on sale.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Never been a big fan of vinaigrette. Well, to each their own. Whatever floats your boat. Hi, Jeremy. Hope you make it through this. Didn't mean to burst your bubble.
Well, hopefully Jeremy will make it through this. He's actually a real targeted individual. I haven't talked to him for a while. I highly doubt he's in therapy, though. Welcome to another show. Yeah, rather than to make another perpology installation into the chronicles of Dr. De Facto's Gangstalking menagerie, we're going to focus in on the modus operandi of gangstalking because, well, it makes it very difficult for targeted individuals. It's not logical. There doesn't seem to be a motive for all these things other than just to drive someone crazy, right? Why would someone have broken into your house and rearranged the furniture in the kitchen or change the color of pens that are by your computer in your study? Why would they do these kinds of things? What are they, putting the red cup on top of your garbage can for? Why is it that every time you seem to leave and go to work, you come back and someone has moved the garbage can out in your parking space? Whatever. All these little games that targeted individuals play, why is it that they would say some of the things they say? The street theater, the vulgar, nonsensical, unorthodox behavior that targeted individuals deal with. You tell someone these things, and they just look at you like you're on drugs. They look at you like you're losing your mind, right? It's illogical. It doesn't make sense. The only possible motive is that they would be driving you crazy, right? And, then there's the dilemma of the magnitude, the huge amount of resources it would take to pull off this logistical nightmare. Why would all these people do that? Right? And you are left to try to explain this stuff. And I've mentioned before that it's kind of hard to tell if somebody's in on this or not. You have to look for little cues, that little smirk behind the mask of someone who knows what you're dealing with, and they keep asking key little questions and probing. And some people, they just want to try and, catch you in something where they can say, aha, I knew this person was nuts. There's no way that, and they kind of probe, and there you are, kind of on trial, explaining all these things, and you're thinking in the back of your mind, I never even should have opened my big mouth to begin with. Learning the hard way. It's always part of being a targeted individual. And then there's the gaslighting, right? It always comes back on you. Not to mention, it gets personal sometimes. Especially little Jeremy, he was accused of having a guilty conscience. Have any of you been accused of that? Oh, why do you think all these people are after you? Have you done something you feel guilty about? Is there something you're trying to hide? And they do that stuff on purpose, I swear. I remember one time, there was a radio show, and I think it was back in 1992. It was right before this stuff started to happen to me. At least, the full meal deal where you get the break-ins and all the weird stuff. But me and my girlfriend were we were listening to a radio program, and I said, hey, I bet I can get on the show. And so I called in, and I said, well, my girl's been having nightmares, about me, and it's ruining our relationship. And it was, one of those psychotherapist channels, and people were calling in. So she gets on there. So tell me what's happening. And I said, well, she's having these nightmares. And the lady said, well, is there anything that involves a knife in the nightmare? And I said, no, not that I can think of. And of course, she's making all these insinuations. And I've noticed, I've noticed that the therapist will do that. And eventually, she said, "Well, maybe you guys are having bad sex," and tried to throw it back on me. I think she knew that I was just trying to get on the show. But therapists will do that. Even ministers will do that. Well, what is it that is making you feel this way? Why are you internalizing all these things? It's because you have violated your conscience. It just reminds me of the story of Job. He's out there in the desert scraping his boils and sores. His whole family has been murdered by Satan. And everything has gone bad. People are hissing at him and assuming that he's been cursed by God. Of course, he must be hiding something, right? Far be it from God to do this to anybody unless they deserved it. Job, just tell us what you did. Tell us what you're hiding. For crying out loud before you die, before it's too late, just fess up. What is it that you've done? Of course, he didn't do anything wrong, and he had to pray for his friends. But it's like that, and the world, they assume the same thing when they see someone being harassed. They know at least that, They see someone who's been afflicted. And I think some of it is just to make them feel safe. They don't do anything wrong, or they don't violate the norms that they know about, they'll be just fine. But really, that's not the way life is. That's really not where we live. And in fact, people that are doing the right thing often, they get persecuted at higher levels. Getting back to the unorthodox techniques of the gang stalkers, here's a good example. I was talking to a targeted individual a while ago, and they had spent some time away from their apartment. Right? They got back, and someone had turned their freezer all the way down. Right? And there's melted fish sticks and everything in there. And what do you say? What are you gonna do? Call the police? And yeah, I'm glad you guys showed up. Somebody broke into my house when I was out of town, and then they turned down my freezer, and they melted all my fish sticks.
It looks like the fish stick bandit strikes again, huh?
Oh, yeah. Rumor has it he's that bandit that shut down all the Skipper's restaurants. Probably some goon sitting around with a bunch of fish tanks somewhere. Sympathy for the fish.
Oh, this is serious. I had people doing weird stuff to me, and they broke in and did it.
So I guess this is a report of a break-in.
Yeah, break-in where there was no property damage and nobody stole anything. They just wanted to melt the fish sticks in your freezer, huh?
Are you prescribed any medications? Have you been using any recreational drugs lately?
Why do you think I did something? It wouldn't make any sense for me to do it. I wanted to eat them.
Yeah, Charlie. He wanted to eat them. Who's crazy enough to actually turn down their freezer and melt some fish sticks and call the cops? It'd be a great way to get thrown in a loony bin for an evaluation for a couple days, so.
Yeah, stupid me. Reminds me of that chick that said she was a targeted individual. Someone took the French dressing and poured it in where the ranch dressing was supposed to be. You remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
And they cut little holes, tiny little holes in their underwear. And it switched some things around in their TV room. And then just left.
Yeah, the targeted individual hunting French dressing underwear clipper. Yeah, well, hopefully the tartar sauce survived. At least you'll be able to eat that. And before you call us back again, you might want to consider the fact that if you keep doing this, you're going to have a long vacation down at the county hospital, and where it's not going to be on the normal side.
Yeah, I doubt they got any fish sticks down there. You have a good day, Skipper.
The techniques are so unorthodox, it's impossible to explain, and after that, it's always your word against everyone else's. Yeah. And then there's the obsession with gathering evidence, right? And I've talked about this before. Targeted individuals don't know what the hell's going on until it's upon them, right? And they don't know what's going on. They might get that foreshadow stage where there's little hints and so on and so forth. And that can last for years, even decades. And then when it comes on, it's hard, heavy, obvious, and aggressive. And then it stops or it changes. It becomes covert. And there you have the targeted individual wearing the spy glasses or the body cam or sitting around watching their security camera and, going through footage and so on and so forth. But it's like they know. Yeah, I've heard that too. I've experienced things like that. You get street theater. It's in your face. It's aggressive. It's weird. It's vulgar. And then you're wearing a body cam or something and nobody says anything. Or they change it to the sensitized stuff. The little games, the little innuendos. So fun. Yeah, it shows you how pathetic the life of these little puppets are. They have to do that kind of thing. It'd be sad if it wasn't so frustrating. You have to remember every now and again what's going to happen to these people if they don't stop doing this stuff. Okay. Yes, there's mercy. Yeah, there's forgiveness. But the whole point in asking for forgiveness is you're truly sorry. You don't think God's going to know that, right? And it's one thing to have a besetting sin. It's another thing to be an agent of chaos, a gang-stalking perp, right? I mean, give me a break. There's no reason or excuse for this stuff. And I used to have a friend back in high school, and he was one of those people that they could, make a whole theology off of one Bible verse. Well, I could go out and shoot a bunch of people with a machine gun, and God would forgive me, and it wouldn't matter anymore. Well, no. I don't think so. God doesn't have to forgive anybody, and you have to be truly sorry. He's going to know that. Okay, and there's a way to prove that. There's a way, that's going to manifest. There's time to change. That's the whole point we're doing all this stuff. And things can get very distracting, complex, and frustrating. And a lot of times I'll find myself thinking about these things, maybe in the middle of the night, maybe when I'm driving around, delivering or whatever. And you're looking around and you're seeing the world around you. There's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of imbalances. There's a lot of things that targeted individuals are seemingly missing out on. But it's really not what's going on. When you get attacked, you get frustrated, you get hindered in your life somehow. Well, here's how I do it. And I call it the ABCs. I may have talked about this before. A is where you start. B is where we are now. And C is where we're all going. Okay, we are all going somewhere. And, in the meantime, there's a lot of little games that people are playing, right? And they're confident and they think they're getting away with all this stuff or whatever. But everyone is going to get to C. And everyone is going to be, they're going to be dealing with reality at that point. And these people are going to change their mind. And if they get to that point without turning from their ways, it's going to be too late. Right? And there won't be any confusion at that point. There won't be any laughing. There won't be any games. Nobody's going to be saying anything. There's nobody going to have anything that you don't have. Everybody's going to be on the same page. ABCs, very simple. You don't have to sit around and try to figure all this stuff and put it in a nice, neat little box and shove it up on the shelf after 2 hours of grinding away in your mind about it. It's very simple, okay? We have things we have to do every day. We have choices we have to make, and sometimes we make the wrong choices, but at least we're minding our own business, okay? Pretty fundamental stuff. But you got to remember that. That's part of this game. I've talked about that in a lot of videos. You cannot forget that. It's so easy. It's so easy to buy into this baloney. Mankind did not just appear out of a DNA pool of water that was hit by lightning. We were not seeded by aliens. We were put here by God, and man was not put here to see how much wealth that they could accumulate, how many children they could have, how big of a house they could build, or how many fancy cars that they could put in their garage. No, you have time, evidence, and responsibility. Okay? And there's a choice to be made. And everyone has to make that choice. We all have to submit to God. And people who are agents of chaos and meddling in other people's business are not submitting to God. They are denying all the fundamental realities of the universe. And that's not good. It's definitely not good. And you have to remember that when you get attacked. Okay, that's my point. Because a lot of people can get gaslighted. I've been tempted to believe the lie before because it just keeps going and going, and it just never seems to end, and it seems so unjust, and it seems like God is just not doing anything. And I don't know, maybe he's got his hands in this whole thing. I start entertaining these ridiculous thoughts. Maybe he's just forsaken me. Maybe it's just the way it is, but that's not true. Okay? These people only seem to be prospering. And they are definitely not honoring God, and they are not honoring the laws of the universe and the fundamental realities that we all have to remember. Mind your own business. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. Okay? Simple stuff. And they're violating that. Okay? And they're gonna answer for that. You can't be right and wrong at the same time. Be good to yourselves. Be safe.